To have all of you here. If this is the first time that you are attending a presentation for us, then we'll do our best to create that narrative. So if you could in the chat, if this is your first time ever hearing about NRGY, then please put that in the chat. And if not, then we know that everybody's already been here already and we don't have to worry about that. But just want to make sure that everybody is already familiar. So this way, we can just go on from there. Let me just double check. No, I think we're good. Okay, so let's talk about really quickly about the narrative of really, why NRGY is so important and why Starstake and all our other dApps that we're going to be coming out with in the future are going to be important as well. Well, one thing I always talk about is that everybody in the world knows about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and they know that Bitcoin is 21 million coins, and they're aware of, to an extent, of what the circulating supply of Bitcoin is, but not many people are aware of what we have, and especially the magnitude of what we have. And in the next coming weeks, we are going to be introducing Starstake to everyone. And that's going to be to really a limited audience because only a certain amount of people are really involved in NRGY to begin with right now. But when more people start finding out about how special this dApp is and how it really influences and squeezes the supply of the NRGY token and our ecosystem, then there's going to be a tremendous amount of demand that is going to result from that. And so when you think about that, you always have to think about, do I want to be ahead of the demand, or do I want to be in it, or do I want to be on the sidelines and waiting? So typically, when you have a project that has the foundation that we have created, you always want to be ahead of it. Because whenever you're ahead of something before it starts, it's always an amazing thing, right? So if we look at all the different things that have happened in the short term, we look at the galas of the world, right? So Gala, everybody that was in Gala, that got their nodes, they got in really early. They may have paid $500 for a node that was barely even a penny in doing anything at that point in time. Now, I wasn't fortunate enough to get one. I saw it at 3,000 and I said, you know what? It's not going to be worth it. Now those things are almost $40,000 a node, and they're producing over 2,500 Gala a day. Well, Gala went as high as about 75 cents, and now it's corrected down to about 52 cents. But a lot of these people are now profiting from believing in the future ability of what that token and ecosystem had to say. And they were ahead of the curve. And so now you all have that same opportunity. Only difference is you don't need to buy a node. You can just buy the coin, stake it, hold it, do whatever you want, and be able to benefit from everything. So imagine this type of scenario, right? For the future, not for the now, but for the future. Imagine if you're familiar with Gala, and let's say Gala had, 20 different games. Imagine Gala had 20 different games on it, and you could, by staking a certain amount of Gala tokens, let's say, you could actually benefit from the rewards that were given from all the different players, let's say, on that platform. Now, imagine you could benefit from that just by holding a certain amount or staking a certain amount of these coins. That's essentially what NRGY is offering you. We're saying that if you stake 34 coins or more, because less 25% if you're doing it through the community builder, then you are going to benefit 20% dispersed across everybody who is staking more than 25 coins, right? So that 20% is going to be given to all the different people that are holding or staking more than 25 coins, and they're going to receive it for all of the different dApps across our network. Now, Starstake may be the very first one that produces a crazy amount of income for our ecosystem, but there will be others to follow. And so if you are lucky enough to be positioned for that, then the success that you're going to receive is going to be tremendous, especially in 2022. So I'll just start the framework like that, and I'll hand it over to Dwayne.
All right, good Thursday evening, NRGY community, and good Thursday evening, DeFi Nation. For those of you in North and South America, for those of you over in Europe, it's probably middle of the night for you. In Asia, it's probably really early morning. And in Australia, I'm guessing it's probably around noonish, somewhere in there. It's hard to keep track of all the different time zones in the world. Guys, the reason I really wanted to call this meeting is I kind of had a revelation and I had an epiphany, and I'm going to share it with you all. But I do want to give you a couple of updates first before we begin. One update, the first update, is that this Saturday's presentation will be the last Saturday presentation we do for the year. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season. We're doing something a little different this Saturday. It's going to be a fun, laid-back experience. Peter will be there. Alan will be there. I'll be there myself. We're going to be doing Q&A, talking Q&A about the NRGY community and about crypto in general. We're also going to be talking about something that I think goes really discounted, and that's the store of value of NRGY, guys. I don't think most people realize, and it's kind of hard when you hear about it and you're on the outside looking in, but I believe that NRGY can be a better store of value than Bitcoin. And there's a couple of different reasons why, and I'll give you those different reasons. I'm going to kind of go a little bit into it this Saturday, and then we're going to have a Q&A. But one of the reasons is NRGY's in the DeFi market. If you don't know about crypto or DeFi, DeFi is basically a community bank. It's where the community supplies the liquidity. So I want you to think of the liquidity pool right now. It's on Uniswap. Yeah, we'll be on Polygon as well here pretty quick. But I want you to think of that like the community bank. When Bitcoin came into play, we didn't have DeFi. We didn't have decentralized finance. So what Bitcoin is traded on, guys, is speculation. It's traded on what somebody's willing to give for it. If nobody's willing to give that price, the price goes down. When you're trading in the DeFi market, it's not dependent on somebody wanting to pay a price. It's dependent on the money in the liquidity pool. You're not having to worry about there being a buyer there to sell to whenever you want to cash in the coin. And that's the beautiful thing about DeFi. And NRGY from inception has had the liquidity pool. It's been in a DeFi market. Everybody that owns NRGY, myself included, people that deployed NRGY, Alan included, myself included, we all put money into the liquidity pool to buy NRGY. Everybody that owns NRGY has put money basically into the community bank, you know, similar to a community bank, I should say. And so when you take into account that the money is already there, you're not dependent on buying on a buyer. Now, as the demand rises, it becomes a better store of value, because what really creates the demand for NRGY is to be able to have 25 NRGY staked and be able to earn on the royalties from the entire ecosystem. And when those royalties are being paid out through the ecosystem because of real products and real services, not because there's constantly new people coming in, but because there's real product and real services being moved, and you have that liquidity, number of people doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people or, you know, have 25 NRGY staked, what that does is it drives demand. It maintains the price, because if somebody falls out, there's somebody right there to take their place that's buying the energy. Hence, you have a huge store of value, even if you don't have 25 NRGY staked. Because let's face it, going forward, guys, we're going to get to a point where energy goes up. It's $1,000. It's basically $34,000 to have 25 NRGY staked. We go up to 10,000. It's 340,000. We can go up to 100,000. I mean, the sky's the limit. Over 3 million. There's going to come a point. My point is this: there's going to come a point where it's not feasible for the average person to be able to earn royalties from the ecosystem. Yet they can still use energy as a store of value, because that piece is what gives energy value. That's what keeps people, that's what keeps the liquidity locked away. That's what keeps people staked. And because that cash flow is coming in, somebody goes out, somebody, boom, steps up and takes their place. So even those people that don't have 25 NRGY staked and aren't earning royalties, guess what? They're still able to use energy as a store of value. Maybe in the future, they only can afford 0.1 NRGY or a quarter of an NRGY or half an NRGY, whatever it may be. But that store of value, I think, goes really discounted, and the energy ecosystem in general. And so this Saturday, we're going to do a little bit laid back. I'm going to kind of go a little bit into that. We're going to have Q&A. If you have questions about the crypto market, if you have questions about the energy ecosystem, in the DeFi Nation, Lynn had a post there. Put your question in the comments, and we're going to go down the list, and then we'll open up for questions too on Saturday as well. It's just going to be kind of a laid back, almost like an AMA, ask me anything type meeting. Now, please, let's keep the questions to the ecosystem into crypto, not when is Starstake going to launch? When are we going to Polygon? Guys, we've already answered that. When are we moving to Polygon? December 20th. When will Starstake be deployed? We said last Saturday that it will be within 30 days from last Saturday. Somebody said, will it be before the end of the year? The answer is, it very well could be before the end of the year. It may be like, there might be a big hoopla at the very start of the year as well. We'll have to see what transpires and what unfolds there. But we did say within 30 days of this past Saturday, okay, within 30 days, you're not gonna have to wait much longer, Starstake will be deployed. So please, when we ask questions on Saturday, when you ask your questions in the comments, let's keep them energy ecosystem, and let's keep them about crypto. Maybe you're new to crypto, you're wondering about hard wallets, or you're wondering about DeFi and liquidity pools or whatnot. That's what this Saturday is going to be for. The next thing is, I've talked about a South American business that's coming in. That will be announced sometime after December 18th, possibly next week. Okay, that deal's all finalized, it's all closed. We're just waiting on them to actually officially release it and release it to make the announcement to their community. But we've already tied that up. They are part of the energy community. It's going to add huge value, and energy stakers are going to be able to earn royalties from that business, as well as Starstake. And we're going to see a lot of growth happen from South America as well. We're really going to open up that Latin American and Latin speaking community. So that's going to be a really good thing. So I know people keep asking, sit tight, it's coming. It's not dependent on if we close the deal. The deal's already closed, it's already done. We're just waiting for them to give the go ahead and actually announce it and have their official announcement. So brings me to this point. What is my revelation? What is my epiphany I had? And I'm going to share that with you. You know, as a leader in this industry, sometimes we get so big on the international, national stage that we really forget about our local communities, guys. I know I certainly have. I know other leaders, other players in this industry, I see them out there. We've left them behind. So I want to share with you a story. I kind of had a calling. A little voice kept speaking to me like, hey, Dwayne, this is what you need to do. 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 The past several weeks, and it just wouldn't go away. Wouldn't go away. I was out selling popcorn with my son for Cub Scouts. He's in Cub Scouts, and we were selling popcorn. By the way, if you've never ate Boy Scout popcorn, it is the most delicious popcorn I've ever had. It's like they take every piece individually and give it flavor. It's so good. It's pricey, but it's good. But we were out selling popcorn for his Cub Scouts, and I wanted to show him work ethic, and I want to show him what hard work, how it can pay off. Because if you hit a certain amount, he got to go to a party, an overnight party at like a Chuck E. Cheese type place. It's called Incredible Pizza. The guy from Springfield probably knows what it is. And so I went with him, and we knocked doors, and I told him what to say, and we'd go knock the door, and he would say stuff, and we sold a lot of popcorn. I instilled that in my 7-year-old little boy, what hard work would get you. But while I was out in my local community, I realized something. There's a lot of good people in my community that are going to get left behind if I don't do anything. I've got to take action in my local community because it starts with me. You've got to take action in your local community because it starts with you. And we have a plan for that. And I'm going to share that with you here in just a few minutes. But I want to finish my story. So I realized that, you know, in the past year, 40% of all the dollars that have ever been printed, have ever been existed, have been printed in the past 12 months. You guys realize that? This is crazy. We live in some crazy times. And I realized going door to door in my local community that, man, it starts with me. I've got to better the place that I live. I've got to better the lives. I've got to share with these people cryptocurrency. I have to share with them decentralized finance. And I have to share with them how I believe energy could really impact and change their life, and how this could really be the next big coin that has a tremendous store of value, and how I can better their lives and better my local community. And guys, I live in a town of about 500 people. I don't live in very much, but around my town, I realized that we can expand. We've got a lot of other cities. We've got a Pittsburgh, Kansas, that's not too far away from where I live, about 20 minutes down the road. Big Division II colleges there. They're kind of like the Notre Dame of college football. They're called Pitt State Gorillas. They have a pretty good population. They have probably about 50,000 or so people. Joplin, Missouri is about 45 minutes away. Joplin, with its suburbs, it's probably about 150,000. It's got Carthage and all these different little places around. I know we can pull from all these different places as the word gets out. And so I realized that, guys, if we're going to build a movement, it starts with us. We have to create the movement. Starstake is going to put energy on the international and national stage, and it's going to be great. But I want to do more than that, and I think you guys do too. I want to create a movement. And I mean a movement. And if you're going to create a movement, it starts with you. And it starts with grassroots campaign. It starts with getting out there and talking. And so while I was out there with my son knocking doors and selling pop, I was amazed at the number of people in my local community that would reach out to me, just so afraid to approach me. Why? Because I'm known as the guy in my local community. Everybody knows I've done very, very well. It's no secret. But, you know, I'm the guy that kind of, if you see me in the gas station, people want to approach me, but they don't know how to approach me. They see me out in the community, they want to approach me. They don't know how to approach me. They know that guy's made a lot of money in cryptocurrency and in business. Man, I would really like to get in that guy's head. I'd really like to know what he does, but I'm so scared to approach that guy. So I was knocking on people's doors. People were asking me, hey, what do you think of this SHIB? What do you think of this Shiba Inu? Should I get in that? You know, keep in mind, this has been about a month ago that we went out and did this, maybe a little bit over a month ago. Hey, what do you think about this coin? What do you think about that coin? I'm not in crypto yet, but I'd like to know. I hear that I know you know a lot about crypto. I had the president of my own local bank say, you know what? Off the record, I've got to ask you about this cryptocurrency. And I realized that my local community is starving for information. They're starving to come in aboard something that's really going to better their lives and going to better their community. They want it. And I'm guessing your local community is much the same way. I'm guessing if you look around you at your neighbors and your local business owners and where you live, there's a lot of good people. And if we care about these people and we want to create a movement and leave a legacy and leave an impact, we have to reach them. We have to reach them. So what are we going to do? Well, my corporate office where I have, guys, you know, I have a holding company. I have, you know, I own several businesses, you know, I have a piece of several businesses that I own. And I bought a restaurant and a bar, okay? Not very much is on Main Street here. My building's probably the biggest one other than the co-op across the street where farmers sell grain. Yes, I live in a rural community. But I have a whole bar with a keg spout, whole commercial kitchen and whatnot. You know, we have a pretty big facility here, pretty big office. And I realized what I need to do is I need to open my doors. And I need to create that movement. We're going to actually call it the Bitcoin Bar. We're going to open our doors. We're going to have meetings probably on Saturdays, Saturday afternoons. And I'm going to invite people in my local community to come in and learn about crypto, learn about DeFi, and learn about energy. And, you know, we have a format. I want leaders out there that want to do the same in their local community. I want them to step up. In fact, I have a Facebook group created for energy community builders. These are for leaders. I want to see who the leadership is in our local community. Guys, you realize what starts a movement isn't just getting on the national and international stage. That's great. That's great. But what starts a movement is grassroots, local communities, one local community at a time. And it doesn't have to be one local community at a time. I can have it in my local community. You can have a meetup in your local community. This guy can. And then all of a sudden we have somebody's brother come in that's halfway across the country or halfway across the planet. And they start a meeting in their local community. And all these local communities together is what creates a movement. It's what creates a movement. Now, I know how big we can build it. I believe we can build 1 million+ people within the next year. 1 million+ within the next year. Why do I believe that? Guys, because I've done it before. I've done it before exactly like this. Those people that are holding weekly meetings in their local community, those are going to be the places that I travel. I'm going to travel around and I'm going to go talk and I'm going to got to come in as a special guest and do a live presentation for their weekly meeting. And when we get enough people in that local community, guess what we'll do? We'll do an event in that local community and we'll grow it even more. We'll grow it exponentially. Guys, I've done this in the past. I've built followings of well over 1 million people. I've been from Dubai to Nigeria. I actually went to Nigeria. It was a really cool place to actually go. I've been many places in Europe. I've been all around the world. And I'm going to lead us in this charge to create this movement because of that little voice I got in my head, realizing that I've neglected my own local community, and it starts with me. It starts right here. So what are we going to do to impact this plan? Well, I'm creating a flyer, and I'm going to have a flyer that people can give out. You'll have to change the address of where your meetup is, okay? But you're going to be able to give that out to your neighbors and people in your local community, business owners in your local community. Get them to a meeting, talk about energy. Guess what? We tell them at the end, hey, we have a meeting next week. I want you to bring a guest. Let's better our local community. Let's impact this together. Bring a guest. And the next thing you know, next week they come back, they have a guest. And the next week that guest has a guest. And this is how we really build a movement. And I think you're going to be surprised at really how quickly this grows. So in addition to Starstake hitting the national and international stage, I really want us to hit the grassroots campaign, and I want us to build the movement. I think it's so important. So you're out there saying things like, well, I need to learn more about energy. Guys, if you're here at this point, you know enough about energy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, your presentation doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I would start the presentation off by talking about cryptocurrency, educating people. I'm talking about DeFi. And then I would take those 3 videos I created that explain energy, play those in your meeting, play them on a projector, play them on a TV or wherever, play them on your meeting. And then you talk about energy. What sold you, what you're passionate about, what you love about energy. This is how we build this movement together. And you say, well, where do we meet up? Dwayne, you have a building there with a bar and area and whatnot. That's awesome. Guys, it can be anywhere. Maybe you own a business. Maybe you have a meeting room or conference room that you can start off with until you grow bigger. And when you grow bigger, maybe you have to move the venue a little bit. Maybe you meet at a Panera Bread, or maybe you meet at a Denny's. Maybe you grow your community much bigger because everybody's bringing a guest, and maybe you rent out a conference room at a Holiday Inn or wherever, some hotel. You can do that weekly. They're cheap, guys. To rent out a meeting room at a hotel might cost you $100 for the week. I mean, they're not much. But for those of you who want to step up and be leaders in this community, in this movement, I need to know now, because those are the guys that I'm really going to work with. I'm really going to cultivate. And guys, I really believe that not only can you make an impact in your local community, you're going to make an impact to your family as well. I believe that the people that step up into that leadership role, I believe they'll make millions next year. You know, there's no guarantees, but I believe they're going to make millions next year, because I know the impact that this can have. I know what we can create because, like I said, I've done it before. So think about where you can meet. Like I said, maybe you own a business, maybe you have a Denny's, maybe you have a Panera Bread, maybe you have some community center or whatever. Okay, wherever you meet. And what I want to do is I'm going to open it up here in just a few minutes. And I want to know who wants to start building a movement and impacting their local community. Now, I don't want you to comment unless you're really dedicated to it. You don't have to necessarily have a place to meet right now, but I want to know who wants to step up with me and run meetings. I'm going to set my phone on silent here. I want to know who wants to step up with me and run meetings and help create this movement within their local communities. And what we'll do is we'll get those flyers put together. We can get you handing out. We can get you going. We can kind of work with you on, you know, how the flow of your meeting needs to go. We can deal with all those things. And then once you're committed to doing that, I want you to think about where you can meet, where you can hold meetings for your local community. But guys, energy is about impacting people around the world. Energy is about bettering people's lives. It all starts with us. And why not better the lives of the people we care about? Why not better the lives of our own communities? to really build a movement. So with that, Peter, do you want to say anything? And then let's kind of open it up and see who wants to become a community builder within their own community. And guys, I do have a Facebook page. It's called NRGY Community Builders for people to join that want to do that. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah. So Dwayne, I think what you say is really poignant, and I think it's really important that we do this. It's funny because back in, when was it? I think it was 2017. I started a cryptocurrency meetup over here in New Jersey, and I had about maybe 100 people. And obviously, if I had kept that up, that would have probably been well into the thousands now. But, things happened, divorce happened, things got in the way. So it became a little bit more difficult to actually follow through with those things, and especially when you have kids, that makes it a little more difficult too. So, but what I was going to say in addition is that, even if, let's say, Dwayne's doing a meeting and obviously, he's one of the main four, but let's say you don't have one of the main four on hand, you could basically, Zoom one of us into a meeting and essentially say, hey, we got one of the main guys in charge here who can talk to you more about this and maybe could answer some specific questions that you may have in, pertinence to, why this ecosystem is so important, why this access economy is so important, and, how early you really are. And I think the narrative that has to be explained really is around the benefit of getting involved early before it really starts to take off. Because when you look at what Bitcoin did, and I use Bitcoin as this example, and I use Ethereum as this example, right? So even if we just go back a year, if we go back a year and we say, okay, we're going to look at what Bitcoin was a year ago, and that was about $4,000. And I had, $20,000 that was sitting there. And I said, okay, I'm going to think about putting this into Bitcoin. And then everything started happening and I just never did it, right? Had I done that, of course, if many of us had done that, we would have been in that better position. Same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum was about 200 or 250 back then. What would your gains have been right now? Ethereum is sitting well over $4,000. Well, what did we not do that Michael Saylor did? Now, granted, he put in way more money than the average person, but he first, which still boggles my mind, he first got into cryptocurrency in March of 2020, when everybody was so scared and they were so fearful about what was going on with COVID that they just, were like, oh my God, we have to panic sell. And all those people that panic sold, now they're just scared. And the easiest way that you can actually look at the market is not through TA, but it's actually through the fear and greed index, right? So if you see that the fear and greed index is anywhere between 26 and like 30, that is your buying time to buy into cryptocurrency. Now, what's going on right now? Now, tomorrow, a big thing hits with inflation and how inflation is going to impact the economy. The whole second wave of the Omicron virus is going around. Well, what happened the first time around? Crypto went down. And when it went down, the smart people, they actually invested into cryptocurrency. Listen to this statistic in case you didn't hear it on my live earlier. Michael Saylor put $3.15 billion into Bitcoin. That is now worth well over $7.5 billion just from that initial investment alone. Now, his whole asset portfolio in MicroStrategy is $7 billion. So that means all of his institutional assets are worth $7 billion, and Bitcoin alone is over $7.5 billion. So all of those assets that have been appreciating over the past 10, 15 years, Bitcoin just came in and in 1 year annihilated everything else. Literally. Imagine that. Now, I'm not saying that NRGY and NRGY are going to have that impact, because it's not going to be that fast. But you have to think about this as if Bitcoin was just starting out. NRGY is just starting out. We're going to take this grassroots movement and we're going to start moving it out. We're going to start talking to more people about it, getting people engaged, bringing in creators. As soon as Starstake launches, that's going to be a tremendous way for us to create income across the board. And so we're going to be starting that movement. Now imagine you were one of those early people that were starting the movement of Bitcoin. Well, now you could say that you're one of the early people that's starting the movement of this access economy. And that is really special, because when you think about it, we only have about 2,000 people that are really engaged. Even it's probably less than that, that are in the energy community. That's it, right? How many does Bitcoin have? How many does Ethereum have? Even if you take a smaller cryptocurrency, they're into the hundreds of thousands. Where do you think NRGY will be when we have 20,000 people, 30,000 people? It's going to be well more than it is right now without giving any kind of value. So you have to understand that, is this going to take work? Of course it's going to take work, because it's going to be a different kind of marketing. It's going to be one-on-one. It's going to be face-to-face. But that's how you're going to really impact people. And the narrative that should be spoken really is to start off with, as Dwayne said, talking about cryptocurrency and setting the framework as to why, like, hey, if you missed Bitcoin, if you missed Ethereum, there's something really special that we got to show you. And we don't want you to buy it. We don't want you to do anything. We just want you to listen. And have them just listen and make an informed decision for themselves. So put the ball in their court and have them decide what they want to do. Therefore, there's no risk, there's no anything. It's just, we're just giving you the information and you do with it what you want.
And one thing I want to say, Peter, too, I want people to understand the difference between the international and national stage and creating a movement. Starstake being on the international and national stage creates volume for NRGY. That's a good thing, very good thing, right? Creates volume for our economy. It's a great thing. But you have a lot of people that are jumping in and out, and they're not necessarily tied emotionally or tied in any grassroots way. When you create a movement, you create loyalty, and you build a house. Instead of building a house on sand, you're building a house on stone. You're building a very solid foundation because you have an army of loyal followers, and people are understanding what this is doing to impact the lives of those around them, and they want to be part of the movement. So having that in combination with the international and national stage that Starstake will give our economy, but also creating that movement is what's really, really going to drive the value of our ecosystem and the value of NRGY, the value of NRGY Go. So Let's open it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my email address in here. I want you guys to send me an email that are wanting to start, that are not wanting, but going to start meetings in your local community, educating people. And we're going to get a flyer made out that you can start putting that out, and you can start having these meetups. And I'll do a one-on-one session with you about kind of how your presentation should flow, kind of run some things by. We'll do a one-on-one Zoom or one-on-one call, and we're going to start this movement, and we're going to do it together. So I see some comments in chat, but please unmute yourself. I like to hear voices. Raise your hand. So not everybody all at once. Raise your hand and let me know if you're going, not wanting, but going to start doing presentations in your local community. I'll start with me and say, yes, I'm doing a presentation in around the Pittsburgh, Kansas, Joplin, Missouri, McCune, Kansas, nobody knows where that is, area. So I've got that covered. And you guys in other communities, maybe you find somebody that's in your community and you guys can start working together as well. I see Stephen has his hand up. Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, I just, man, I'm really in sync with what you're saying, because I've actually already started, something similar to what you're talking about personally, just personal people that I know and relationships that I've built. But there's one of the biggest barriers to people even getting into crypto is just not knowing what to do, and then like making simple mistakes. And people are really afraid to do that. You can almost think of it like back in the 90s trying to get involved with computers and stuff. Like, people were so scared to even click on the wrong icon on their screen. It's kind of the same thing with crypto now. There's a lot of misinformation. Everybody's talking about Shiba and all these other coins, but really just everybody knows that there's something wrong with the financial system, and they need someone to help them walk that out. And what you're talking about is the key to mass adoption. But it needs to be done responsibly, of course. It needs to be done with people who know what they're talking about, and we need to bring people to good projects. And NRGY is a solid project. The tokenomics are solid, and that's what people need. They need to be directed to those projects and not the scams, because not only getting past the technological barriers, which people are more than willing to do, but the scams is what really discourage people. When they actually finally get through all of that and then they get rug pulled, that discourages people and disheartens people. That's what's needed, and that's what we can do. And I've had this on my heart for like a year to start doing that.
And I've had this little voice talk, and you're 100% correct. And after I did that, I realized how hungry it was. And I realized how I've neglected my own local community, and how people look at me in the community. They're like wanting to talk to me, but they're afraid to approach me. And because I've been on the national and international stage for quite some time right now. But there's a lot of people, when you're on the international national stage, you got to take a step back to see that the average person is not a big business builder. Just because I know a lot of people, big business people that I surround myself with, I think it's important to know that the average people are your people. They're going to jobs, that are working in a factory, that are nurses, that are attorneys in their local community, that are physicians and physicians assistants, and the guy that changes your oil, and all these things, right? This is where local communities, this is where the masses are comprised of. And if we can really build a movement through them, then we really build a movement for NRGY, and we really set a solid foundation while Starstake is getting us on the national and international stage. Are you going to hold meetings in your local community, Stephen?
Absolutely. It's hard with COVID, but things are kind of changing, and maybe it doesn't have to be a physical meeting. Like I've actually been meeting on Discord with people, and we're all from all over the country, people, and we can just jump on Zoom calls or whatever, and it's almost even more effective because you can reach people, you can record it, and all that kind of stuff. Of course, physically meeting with people too is powerful, and there's a huge need just for that.
Physically meeting. I'm talking about physically meeting.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah.
I want people that are going to be physically meeting in their local community. There's power in it, a lot of power. Where are you at?
Well, I can commit to that.
Where are you at? Where are you located?
Michigan.
What city?
It's by Mount Pleasant. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but
Mount Pleasant, Michigan. All right. I'm going to put that in chat. Who else on here? MI from Michigan, right? Yeah, MI. Let's keep it up. We got who else? Raise your hand if you're going to host a meeting in your local community. I see we have some people. Quentin said that he sent me some messages. I got your message, Springfield, Missouri. That's right by me, so I will definitely be to see you quite often, because you're only about.
I used to live in Springfield, Dwayne, and 3 years ago we started meeting. We started meeting with a big group of people. We had 50 people in a room learning about the coin I'm involved with. But man, there was people just hungry for that, and I still know some of those people. So I mean, they're still all about that. So I mean, we could get together. I'd love to go back down there, meet with you guys. I know Clinton too. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Springfield, Missouri it's a booming. It's growing. It's growing.
It's a good place.
Yep. I'm going to be there next weekend, and we're going to Branson for Christmas. I'm taking the family to Silver Dollar City.
That's awesome.
We'll be glad to welcome you to Germany. Hey, I'll go to Germany. Would love to meet up with you guys in Germany. Where else do we have in here? And raise your hand, guys, if you're on. I know I missed a lot of comments while I was talking. Hawaii, let's do it. Boone, North Carolina. Norman, okay, this is when people were coming on. Let's kind of get a list. Northern Colorado. Drew's going to hold a meeting in Northern Colorado. That's awesome. Neil's going to start one in Dallas area. That's awesome.
Drew's got his hand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Drew. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Drew.
Hey, Dwayne. Hey, guys. How you doing? Yeah, we've been really talking about this, me and my partner, Christy Nelson, about really doing more one-on-ones, having little group meetings, and just doing some one-on-ones here lately. Have some real traction. Actually got one to buy the 34 energy this last couple of days to be able to stake. We're just waiting for the perfect time to get those staked. And so, yeah, we're definitely on board for it. I'm on here speaking for her as well tonight too.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and you guys aren't too far from me. I'm out. Like I said, I'll go all over the world, guys. I'll meet. I've been everywhere, man. And I don't have a problem. Sometimes I need a translator if there's a language barrier there, but most definitely Northern Colorado. I look forward to that. And guys, I want you to understand, when you build local movements, it doesn't take very long for 10 people to turn into 100 people. And it doesn't take very long for 100 people to turn into 1,000. It really doesn't. You'd be surprised. You take a group of 10 people and have them turn into 1,000 within 3 months. I mean, it goes fast, especially when you're talking about something that can really impact people's lives, and when you're talking about something that can enrich their lives and bring them money, bring them wealth, right? People want to know about that. So it doesn't take very long to build it up pretty big. That's why when I say 1 million people within a year, I know how quickly it grows. It grows a lot faster than you would even imagine. You just start getting out there and you start holding a weekly meeting. Whatever day of the week's convenient for you. Saturdays are good for a lot of people. It could be a Thursday night, it could be a Wednesday evening, it could be whenever. Asheville, North Carolina. Warren's going to start in Asheville, North Carolina. Great, great, great. What about international people? I know we have some people that are holding meetings right now in Germany. They're meeting at like a castle. The guy owns a castle. He bought a castle, and that's where they're meeting. So I'd be happy to come to your guys' meeting as well. Anybody else out there? Anybody else? here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to send me a message, send me an email. I'm going to put my email address in chat again. It's president@oursynergyteam.com. We'll schedule a one-on-one. We'll get a flyer. We'll get you started. We'll get you started going on holding meetings in your local community. And guys, if you work with me, I'm going to tell you what, you're going to be surprised how quickly it grows. You're going to be surprised how quickly your own income grows. It'll amaze you. It'll amaze you. The thing about creating wealth, guys, is it's a grind to get there. It's a grind. But I'm going to tell you what, when it happens, it happens fast. Like it just explodes. Yeah, it happens faster than you can even imagine when you really grow that income. You know, you start making 1,000 a day, 2,000, you think you're doing good. And then all of a sudden that blows up to 10,000. You're like, holy smokes, you know, it happens really, really quick. So it's a grind to get there, but when all the pieces fall into place, it happens very, very quickly. Cool.
One thing I want to stress to everyone is, you know, obviously some people are going to be, and this is just a general point, but it's a point that needs to be made. Some people are going to be turned off to the community builder. They're going to say, you know, I don't want to give up 25%. Even if you explain the benefit of that, most people will say, okay, no problem. But if you got a guy or a girl who says, I'd like to put in $100,000, they're probably not going to want to give up their 25%. And then you can say, okay, well, here's the direct link that you can actually go and you can stake your coins that way. Now, you're not going to get any referral bonus from that. But what you can do is think about it this way. When those people start putting in bigger amounts of money, and that bigger amounts of money is coming, when they start putting in that bigger amounts of money, that directly affects every single person that's been here since the beginning. So although you may not be getting that direct, you know, referral bonus, you're still going to benefit from the coin going up in value.
We're actually talking about that. Alan and I had a discussion about that, and we'll probably kind of delve into it more on Saturday. But we're looking at possibly taking the community builder, and while they'll still be paid on the front end, they won't actually hit the person until they unstake on the back end. So we are looking at doing that when we move to Polygon, which I think is
be smart.
That could be huge. That could be huge right there.
Yeah,
I think that would be really effective.
So when they need 25 coins staked, yeah, they go buy 25 coins, get their 25 staked. But when they unstake them, then the 25% will come off on the other end. So we are looking at that. We are discussing that too, kind of off the record. But yes, guys, we're going to do some really big things together. I think we have about. I know Peter's going to run one in his local community. Peter's at a huge advantage. Why? Because, well, he knows about cryptocurrency, but he lives in a big community. Peter's over there in New Jersey. He doesn't live over in Podunk, Kansas. He lives right by, basically he lives in New York City. Put it that way. I've been
close enough.
It ceases to amaze me, guys, from Philadelphia all the way to Washington, D.C. They all say, oh, this is our city. This is our city. But you go up there, Philadelphia, Baltimore, New Jersey, New York City, Washington, they're just all one big city. Seriously, you just start driving, it's city after city. You blends from one into the next. That's a big area there, Peter. So you'll be extremely, your meetings will, you say 1,000, you would have already been at 1,000 by now. I bet you're at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 people in no time just in that meeting, because that's a huge area. So cool.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's work together. Let's build this movement. Send me an email. Let's schedule a time, and let's get those meetings started in your local community for those people that want to step up and they really want to be a leader and help lead the charge. And I'm going to work with you guys. Like I said, I've done it before. So, you know, I'll kind of coach you and help you along the way. Peter will do the same. And we're going to take this to a whole nother level. While Starstake is on the national and international scene, we're going to really be building that grassroots and that value, that long-term value for energy. And we're going to do some great things together.